That intro slide you just saw was made using the code I learned on One Schoolhouse. I am the only senior taking AP Computer Science A as a senior elective. I looked at the in-person senior electives with my mom the day before school started, and none of them were interesting to me. Ms. Kunt suggested I take computer science on One Schoolhouse because STEAM was one of my favorite subjects back when it was still a class year. However, there were some challenges. I needed a real computer instead of a Chromebook. Once Mr. Chica gave me one, I needed him to download Java, the programming language we use, because that required administrator privileges. Even though the process was complicated, my mom said it will help students in later years get started in computer science on One Schoolhouse more easily. If any of you freshmen, sophomores, or juniors are into tech, one of those students in later years could be you. Nobody else at Ideal was taking computer science, so I did not have as much help as some of the other kids in my online class. My parents could also not help me because Java was not invented until after they had gotten their bachelor's degrees. The good news is that I have a wonderful teacher, Mrs. Murakami, who answers my questions quickly, and there are plenty of resources online. The difficulty of the course helped me develop creativity in coming up with solutions to problems. I once recreated an assignment in Python, a programming language I had more experience with, to help me figure out what was wrong. Later on, we had a group project. I forgot to add my code to the Google Doc my partner and I were using, and it was on my home computer. The assignment was due at the end of that day, and my classmate had to go somewhere before I got home from school. I eventually realized I could download my code from the assignment page and make the changes to the Google Doc on my phone. On my One Schoolhouse report card, the teacher used this as an example of how this course will help me prepare for college. I chose the quote for my slide because it's similar to my attitude towards One Schoolhouse. In case you couldn't read it, it's from Maya Angelou, and it says, "Nothing so frightens me as much as writing, but nothing so satisfies me. It's like a swimmer in the English Channel. You face the stingrays and waves and cold and grease, and finally you reach the other shore, and you put your foot on the ground. Aside my senior elective, something else I like about Ideal is the books we read in English. My dad has a friend who lives in Kentucky and has a son in high school. Early on in the school year, my dad said the friend was angry that his son's assigned books for his school year were all by white men. My mom said that even though Ideal assigns well-known books by white men, they also assign books by women, such as Being Human by the disability rights activist Judith Heumann, and books by people of color, such as The Play Fences by August Wilson. Even though I am taking an AP class and honors classes, school wasn't always easy for me. When I was 3 years old, I was diagnosed with autism, a permanent disability that causes difficulties with social interaction. I didn't ask adults for help, I never talked to my peers, and I did something called echolalia, which is when autistic people repeat questions other people ask them back instead of answering the question. My original elementary school was in a program called NEST. NEST is a program that puts about 4 autistic students in a classroom in a public school with about 15 or 20 other students. However, my parents decided it wasn't good for me after a teacher there discriminated against me for being autistic. One way I have contributed to Ideal is by asking Ms. Wolf to hold the GSA meetings on a different day because some students have therapies during Monday lunch, and I pointed out walking those students out of the GSA meetings would go against the entire reason Ideal was created. I have also contributed by acting in plays and musicals at Ideal. After high school, I plan to go to college. Because of my autism, I'm mainly looking at small colleges and colleges with dedicated autism support programs. Recently, my dad read a New York Times article saying you should use college to explore your intellectual curiosity instead of worrying about the future. This is making me look deeper into the courses each college offers. For example, one college I have applied to, Sarah Lawrence, has a course where we watch Judith Heumann's documentary. If I took this course, I could talk about how Judith Heumann spoke at our school, which would help me make friends with other students taking the course. I'm also interested in taking a course about Yiddish, which was my great-grandfather's native language, because I think it would be a good way to connect with my heritage. In conclusion, even though I love Ideal, I'm excited to move on to a new phase in my life. I've gotten into 6 colleges so far, and they've all given me merit scholarships